big round of applause, Lieutenant Governor Joe Maxwell.
Thanks, Rule. I want to, this is amazing. I want to thank all of you all for coming out. What a showing of community support to say this is our Constitution, corporations stay out. I learned a long time ago, we the people for the people, not we the corporations for the corporations. What in the world are we doing in Missouri? How could the Farm Bureau think this is a good idea? You need to ask your agents if you have insurance. You know, I'm proud to be here today. I come to you today as a fourth-generation farmer. I am a hog farmer. I always tell folks I don't raise pork chops, I raise pigs. I'm not into this industrialized ag industry that's out there and driving our farmers off the land and animals into confinement, polluting our drinking water, causing the neighbors to lose their property rights so that a few large multinational corporations can control our food. So I'm an American farmer. My brother lives in our homestead. Now, almost 100 years ago, my great-grandfather bought that farm. My grandfather was responsible for plowing under the prairie grass to plant the first seed in the ground. When my grandfather married my grandmother, 1 year after they were married, the house burned down. Now, rumor in the community was Grandma burned the old house down with a lantern so she could have a new home. Either way, Grandpa built her a new home. That house still stands on our family farm. My dad was born in that house. My grandfather died in that house. My dad died 10 feet from where he was born. His wish in life was to never have to leave that farm, and God granted him that wish. My family's roots run deep in the soils of Missouri because we are America's traditional family farmers, and we say, as family farmers, corporations get out of our Constitution. This Constitution is ours, the people of America. I'm proud to be a member of Missouri's Food for America. Notice I didn't say food for China or food for Brazil. Food for America. I want to feed my neighbors. I want to make sure they have a healthy, secure food system. Constitutional Amendment 1 guarantees that that might not be the case for us. It guarantees, as we know, corporations now have the freedom of speech in America based upon our Supreme Court. Foreign corporations or domestic corporations have the same rights as the people. Today, in Missouri, as well as in Oklahoma, Indiana, and 2 other states, corporate agriculture is trying to put their guarantee to farm in state constitutions. We worked together with some individuals in Oklahoma and stopped it in the legislature. Family farmers worked hard in Indiana, and we kept it out of their constitution. And now here I am in my home state, seeing foreign corporations wanting to have a guarantee. This is the thing you need to focus on. Not only is it a protection for farming, it is a guarantee, forever guaranteed to farm. A constitutional right. I don't need that protection. I'm farming today. My family's been farming for 4 generations. Same land, same darned house. 1975, the Missouri legislature passed the Family Farm Act, defining who a family farmer is in Missouri, defining who family farm corporations are, and provided protection so they did not have to compete with foreign investment. At the time, Japan was buying up a large segment of America's farmland. Manipulation of the currency allows foreign corporations and foreign states to unfairly compete with America's farmers when it comes to competing for land, artificially driving up land prices and driving farmers off the land. And so in 1975, the Missouri legislature defined who could be a farmer in Missouri. 1975. The legislature provided family farmers and family farm corporations with protection. But those big foreign multinational corporations, one of which just got an exemption by the Missouri legislature to own 50,000 acres of Missouri farmland, and I think it's the 4th largest pork. They consider themselves pork producers. Because they don't care what they do to their neighbor. They don't care what they do to our planet and our environment and our drinking water, and they don't care what they do to the animals. And they've been granted an exemption. They're now landlocked. For whatever reason, those individuals wanting to pass this amendment will guarantee that foreign multinational corporation the ability to buy more of Missouri's farmland, bring that money in from China, and buy up more of Missouri's agricultural land, competing against hog farmers like myself. I started farming in about I started when I was a kid, but I started paying taxes as a farmer in about 1975, 76. About the same time that the legislature put the protection in place. In America at that time, there were about 690,000 hog farmers in this country. Today, because of the pressure from multinational corporations and large industrialized ag businesses, there's only about 67,000 hog farmers left. 40% of the cattlemen have been driven out of business. And there's a group of corporate multinational corporations that decided they want to take over the final stages of American agriculture by putting a happy farmer's face on an ad, and they call it the right to farm, and they believe they can dupe the Missouri citizens and citizens in Oklahoma and around this country to give them the final rights and guarantee to drive the last farmer off the land, and I say no! I'm proud that the Missouri Farmers Union stands with us today. I'm thankful that the oldest farmers organization in the United States sees the wisdom in saying no to right to farm. I don't know about the largest insurance company in Missouri, but it seems to have its head screwed on wrong. There is a website, a YouTube video, if you want it. People ask me tonight, well, why would the Farm Bureau be for this? And I said, I don't know. I can't figure it out. But Blake Hurst, the president of the Farm Bureau in Missouri, has a YouTube video explaining it. And Rule will be happy to get you the URL and the YouTube site. You can listen to Blake Hurst. Now, I wanted to debate him. I wanted to debate because I wanted the truth to come out about who's really behind this amendment and who will be helped by this amendment. But the Missouri Farmers Care, which is highly endorsed by the Missouri Farm Bureau, told the representative, you don't want to debate Joe Maxwell. He's some kind of a villain. and they backed out. Otherwise, I'd invite you Wednesday night to Joplin for a good debate. But you know, when you're lying to the people and you're trying to dupe them into doing something, you don't want the truth to come out. So go to that site. It's Keep Missouri Farming, and we can give you that, and Mr. Blakehurst will explain to you what's happened in Hawaii. You have to go there and figure it out. But I don't know why they would want to do this. Other than in this world right now, there's a handful of corporations that want to control our food supply. Think about the danger of that. Think about the danger that in the United States of America today, the largest beef producer, cattle producer, is Brazilian. The largest poultry, Brazilian. The largest pork, Chinese. Our big domestic corporations with the big belt buckles on in agriculture believed they were the greatest things in the world. But today our food system is being purchased and bought up by sellouts to the largest multinational corporations. And that's who's going to control our food. It's not going to be the American farmer. It's not even going to be an American corporation. That's what this is about. That's why they've pooled their money and are working in multi-states to try to get this right. They've polluted Iowa so badly, they're trying to move into Missouri. Former editor of the Des Moines Register wrote an editorial in that newspaper that called his home state the toilet of the Midwest. The Des Moines Register 3 weeks ago did an editorial stating that these industrialized multinational corporations need to start paying all of the cost of their production. The citizens in Des Moines are going to have to spend $4 million rehabbing their water system and spend $1 million a year to get the hog manure out of their drinking water. And the passage of this amendment will guarantee you, the citizens of this state, will be paying the cost of that industrialized agricultural model run by Chinese and Brazilians and every other foreign country that you can think about. Now that's something that the Farm Bureau and the Missouri Farmers Care don't want to talk about. They don't want to talk about how Iowa is polluted and now they're coming here. There's an article in Mother Jones, and the article headline asks a question: is the United States becoming the factory farm for China? And it answered the question with yes. 40% of the arable land in China has been polluted by themselves. They pooped up their own dang country, can't grow anything on it, polluted their water, and now, no different than aliens that we see on a science fiction movie, are coming into this country to suck up all the resources, drain our rural economies, dirty your drinking water, drive your farmers off the land, and I guarantee you when they're done with us, they're just going to pick up in their little spaceships and head to another country. Constitutional Amendment number 1 is not about America's family farmers. That's why the Missouri Farmers Union is on our side. It's about the largest corporations in the world. I don't know where you came down on it. I'm not old enough to have lived it, but we've all studied it, the differences between Thomas Jefferson and Mr. Hamilton in the Federalist Papers. I've always sided with Mr. Jefferson. I'm kind of a little different party than the Tea Party, but I've always admired the fact that they also come down, it seems like, on the side of Mr. Jefferson. So I think we have a lot in common on this issue. Our rights are on the line with this amendment. Thomas Jefferson believed that ultimately, if we allowed corporations to go unrestricted, that they would be a greater threat to this country than a standing foreign army. They would consolidate the wealth and therefore consolidate the power in the capital and then would own this country. Today, we're seeing that occur. When corporations can write blank checks to pass a constitutional amendment on this ballot to give them a guarantee to drive farmers off the land, we're in the very stages that Thomas Jefferson talked about over 200 years ago. And we need to stand up regardless of what party you're in and say enough is enough. It is the Constitution. It's for the people, by the people, not for the corporations, by the corporations. And we need to vote no. Here's what we need tonight. We need your help. Now look around this room. There's a lot of people here. There's going to be about 450,000 people in Missouri that make this decision. It's on the August primary. Not a lot of people vote in the August primary. Matter of fact, independents usually stay home. They say, well, that's about Democrats and Republicans. That's the party election, I hear folks say. So the majority of Missouri's voters stay home. This election, we expect 18 to 20% of Missouri's registered voters to go to the polls. Now, we can say that's a shame and we can have another conversation about that, but on this election, it means every vote makes up about 5 votes, right? 100%, do the math. I think I did it right. I'm hoping so. So your vote matters. It matters more in this election than it has in other elections. One, it's about your Constitution and your right to farm. 2, not a lot of your neighbors are going to go to the polls, so it has huge impact. Your vote makes a big difference. If you're not registered, you have until Wednesday to do so, and folks here tonight can help you understand how you can be registered to vote. And if you've never voted before, that's okay, but don't miss this one. It's a big one. Whether or not you eat in the future may very well depend on whether or not you vote on August the 5th. The second thing to know is that we have a very large groundswell of individuals opposing Constitutional Amendment number 1. Greene County is big, though. Huge in this effort. Of the 3 major metropolitan regions, Greene County and Springfield, Missouri, represents the true agricultural base. And you can send a message by going to the polls and voting no. The second thing we need you to do is all those independent voters out there, and maybe you're one of them, drag 10 of them along to the polls because typically they don't vote. The other side's had a hard time getting traction. There's not a lot of excitement out here outside of Farm Bureau members. I mean, they're putting up some big signs, but as we say, signs don't vote. So you can make a difference by talking to your independent voting neighbors and making sure they know this one matters. I don't care if they select a D or an R, tell them to move right down to the constitutional amendment, go to Constitutional Amendment number 1 and give it a great big no. Send that message to those multinational corporations. Give them the great big, there you go. The other thing we need you to do, you see any way, 28 days and then it's V-Day, voter day. That's not very long. 28 days, well, of course if you're young you may think, if you're my age it goes by pretty darn quick. 28 days in order to secure family farmers in our state, 28 days to secure your food supply, 28 days to make sure you're not going to have to pay to clean up your drinking water because a bunch of industrialized multinational corporations have pooped it up. 28 days. 28 days to make sure there can be safeguards for the neighbors. 28 days to make sure animals can have some space. 28 days. That's it. We need you to volunteer. We've got the resources to get the leaflets and the handouts to attend your major events here in Greene County, Christian County. I know Bob's here running in Dade County, and I know that's a big issue on the chicken houses there. So you know your counties. We have the resources. We need the people making sure those leaflets get out into the hands of the public and they know they need to go to the polls on August the 5th. We also need to know, if you don't mind doing phone calls, we're probably going to be calling some of the neighbors that we've identified to remind them, hey, it's August the 5th. You said you would vote no. Please go to the polls. And we need a few folks signing up so we can knock on a few doors and drop those leaflets at the neighbors' houses. And then on Election Day, we don't want to not be seen. Ultimately, this race will come down to the Election Day. That 18 to 20%, people go to the polls to vote for people. I appreciate that. I used to be on the ballot. I always appreciated the vote. This area was always good to Joe Maxwell, and I'm thanking you for that. But the fact is, a lot of people just don't go down the ballot to the constitutional amendments. They hit their buddy, their friend, or whatever, and make sure their vote counts for who they know, and then they just walk out. They say, well, I don't really know that much about them, so I'm just not going to vote. Tell them, if you don't know, vote no. If you don't know, vote no. But for God's sakes, vote.